Welcome back to our Uncommon Student presentations. Now we'll go ahead and continue the morning session. Our next presenter is Emilia Porubcin, and she's from Rivermount Collegiate in Bettendorf, and she's the daughter of Chai and Michael Porubcin. And the title of her presentation is Pounce Magazine, Technology and Arts in the 21st Century. Please welcome Emilia.
I am a millennial. My generation grew up plugged into the internet, watching the rise of cultural mainstays like Google, YouTube, and Amazon. Our appreciation of and affinity for technology is almost intrinsic. I am also a creative writer. Like others who share my love of telling stories, I value the old as much as the new. As long as I can find an outlet for my expression, I am whole. When a creative outlet disappeared then, the physical writing community at my school and in my town, it's no wonder I turned to the internet to replace it. By the time I entered high school, both my community's and my school's literary magazines in print had collapsed due to high publication expenses, environmental strain, and absent leadership. Students within my school, whom I personally knew, needed a way to share their writing and creativity in order to gain the confidence to create more. There were two ways I could have approached this need for a new writing community for youth in the arts. One, reinstate a school-wide print publication, or two, develop an online expandable publication. The former would be familiar, manageable, and rather expensive. The latter would be entirely uncharted territory, but virtually free. Because I have a hunger for adventure and a typically millennial aversion to spending money, I decided to create a low-cost, student-volunteer-run online magazine to celebrate writing, visual, and performance art. The magazine would be titled Pounce, after a famous quote from Vladimir Nabokov: "Do what only a true artist can do. Pounce upon the forgotten butterfly of revelation." I created Pounce with three goals in mind: to integrate STEM in the arts, to promote technological literacy, and to celebrate the young arts community. The absence of an arts community that I perceived at my school drove this project. The absence made students require a space to share their creative talent at any age. They needed to receive positive and reassuring feedback without fearing judgment. Technological literacy can be defined as the ability to understand and evaluate technology. In our magazine's team and creative contributors alike, I hope to build students' confidence in HTML and CSS web design and software essential to the online artistic world, which I'll discuss later on. In the same way that President Hoover celebrated technology by pioneering the use of radio and television, we hoped to celebrate and promote the use of cutting-edge technologies to share in the arts. My final and broadest goal of integrating STEM in the arts is probably the most personal. As a girl who loves both programming and creative writing, and who has been told countless times that she shouldn't pursue both, I wanted to remind students that their interests are theirs alone. Technology and the arts can enhance each other in their coexistence. I also defined a few more tangible goals. After building a website on which students could learn about our mission, view writing, visual art, and performance art, and submit their creative work, I hope to build a community of creators that would stretch beyond our town into at least 3 neighboring states. I hope to establish an editorial team that could continue my work after I was gone, and I hope to receive at least one submission of artwork in each category present on the website. The first step in developing Pounce was to build a framework for the website. After testing out web building software including WordPress and Wix, I settled on Squarespace, which could also host the magazine's website at rvmtpounce.org. Throughout the presentation, those of you with mobile devices, I encourage you to visit this website as I walk through it. The software, Squarespace, allowed the greatest flexibility in accessing and manipulating the source code, present here, of the website. The opening page shown here contains basic information about our mission and our submissions policy. Most important, of course, is our acceptance of many types of creative art. While most literary magazines limit their publication to written and maybe visual art, from the start we also welcome performance art in the form of dance, music, and theater, among others. That is the niche benefit of an online magazine. We can display fluid forms of artwork that cannot be captured or recognized in the static form of a print publication. Another standout point about Pounce is that we only accept art from creators under the age of 25. This upper limit is meant to encourage artwork from non-professional writers, artists, and performers, because we hope to be a springboard for youth and who might not be entirely confident in their artistic style. With each submission, in addition to the primary work, we also requested a short biographical statement. Unlike other magazines that might only celebrate an artist's work, we wanted to celebrate both the artist and their creation. Finally, submission is and always will be free. We believe access to a community of creatives needs to be open to people of all economic and demographic backgrounds. Our accessibility, our focus on the creator, our variety of accepted art, these all go back to our original goals of celebrating technology in the arts and rebuilding a community for youth in the arts. How does Pounce accept submissions? After much trial and error with nightmarish technology like Typeform, we finally discovered Submittable, a prominent subscription-based service used by literary journals like Clementine Unbound and Osedax Press. Submittable allows submitters to upload files of any type, and it allows team members to discuss and vote on submitted work. So it's really flexible for both the user and the creator. Here you can see our Submittable landing page, from which submitters can travel to a page to submit their writing, visual art, or performance art. The requirements are the same for each category: personal information, the primary creation, a short biography, and an optional supplement. We spent a lot of time deciding what aspects of the application would best capture the potential creativity of any artist. You might have noticed that I keep on using we pronouns, us, our, etc. This is because the next most important step after building the website was building an editorial team. I recruited editors from my community and even cold contacted relative strangers who I believed would be a good fit for the magazine. Now, I'm no Herbert Hoover, but apparently I know how to build a pretty good team because we're a solid editorial team. What resulted was a diverse 6-person team of pouncers who truly captured the spirit of innovative creativity of our magazine. We discussed what to include in the site and how to reach out to the many writers, artists, and performers who would comprise the Pounce community. With initial help from me and Anae, shown to the right, our website manager, each editor wrote the code for their own biography blocks on the masthead page, which recognizes our editorial team and teacher advisor. We're all shown here, and I can't stop thanking them for the team effort that really was the website's design and establishment. To Hannah, Andrea, Faith, Anae, and most of all Ms. Pecora, our teacher advisor who we probably drove crazy, thank you very much. Once the website was created, it was important to advertise in order to get any submissions. I began first by advertising to my school late in the 2015-16 school year. We're located in Iowa, of course. We contacted old friends that had moved to other area schools, including Pleasant Valley and Bettendorf, and sent them posters and links encouraging them to spread the word. We contacted schools from, in the US, Hawaii to Pittsburgh to Puerto Rico, and I was even able to contact an English-speaking linguistics professor who had previously worked at an art school in the Czech Republic. He still works in the Czech Republic. He's shown in the upper right corner. His name is Peter Hiker, and he's a pretty great guy. His help provided a lot of traffic and even some submissions from the Czech Republic and Slovakia. In addition to advertising via connections and word of mouth, in early September we successfully applied for a fledgling listing on Duotrope, one of the most extensive searchable databases of current fiction, poetry, and nonfiction writing markets. This opened Pounce to a much more committed group of writers and even artists, surprisingly, who are already seeking a community for their creativity. Within our website, one of the most important tools for getting the word out was an advertise page, shown here, which contains posters and flyers that can be put up or simply emailed around to promote the magazine. Here are a couple of them, and this one is my favorite, because it contains a QR code that you can scan with your smartphone to visit the website at rb2house.org straight from your device. Although I've mentioned the home, submit, masthead, and advertise pages, I have yet to address the contact and gallery pages. The contact page shown here is pretty straightforward, a way for people to ask us about our work, their work, or technical issues that they might have with the website. The final link at the top of the page, shown over here, is our gallery, which I'll take you to now. As you can see, we have separate pages for visual art, writing, and performance art, so I'll take you to the visual art page. Here you can see a few of the pieces of writing that I showed and sampled in the video earlier. You can click on an artist's name card to view a short biography that they wrote, and you can click on their artwork to expand and see a bigger image of it. Here's a few more images, and that will take us back here. The concept is similar for writing and visual art. Although the gallery is a great way to exhibit the quality of our submissions, which has been surprisingly high, it's difficult to understand the demographic breadth of Pounce creators at first glance. To understand the scope of our successful advertising and recruitment, if you can call it that, I've created a few graphics to help us understand. So beginning with the team. Members of the Pounce editorial team come from 3 different states, Arizona, Iowa, and Illinois, and 1 U.S. territory, Puerto Rico. 2 of us plan to pursue higher education in STEM, 2 of us plan to pursue higher education in the humanities, and 1 of us plans to pursue higher education in both. I'm the indecisive one. Excuse me. If that doesn't capture the goal of integrating STEM and the arts that I mentioned very early on, I don't know what else does. Let's look at our contributors. 15 artists and counting have contributed over 50 pieces of art, writing, and music to Pounce in the past 4 months alone. Of these creators, over half are ESL. They speak English as a second language. They come from 6 states and 5 countries across North America, Europe, and Asia. 5 of the 15 are in college or beyond, 6 of the 15 are in high school, and 4 of the 15 are as young as middle schoolers. We've had visitors from Arizona, California, Virginia, Michigan, Moscow, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Illinois, Iowa, and many more states. I compared this to our initial goal of reaching at least 3 states and getting at least 3 suitable submissions by the end of December, and I'm astounded by what we've achieved together as a team. The international community we established far exceeded our expectations for a tiny school publication. It is our greatest hope that the artists, writers, and performers who discover each other through Pounce will continue to grow together. At the rate we're going, our submissions and creators will only go up. In all our goals intangible, we succeeded, nurturing technological literacy, encouraging the integration of STEM and the arts, and celebrating the young arts community all over the world. We might not receive the most beautiful artwork or the most sophisticated writing, but with Pounce, we're helping create that, and that's just as important. Thank you.
How do you distinguish between a contribution, let's say a piece of poetry, that is poor in quality, and I realize that you eliminate anything of a distasteful nature, but I was curious when I was reading your narrative how you distinguish between something that's really good, something that's mediocre, something that's really poor, because it wouldn't do your website too much good, I think, if you included much of the latter.
Sure. Well, first of all, I think it's important to remember that we're not necessarily looking for mature artists and writers. We're trying to help those artists and creators get to that point. So we keep that in mind when we're reviewing submissions. The criteria is kind of different for each category. So in writing, our writing editor, Faith, looks at diction, word choice, the structure, the sophistication of the writing, which is kind of a subjective element, which is why after she makes her decisions, we review them as a team to actually pick what goes into the magazine. Visual art, the painting, the drawing, the sketches, we look for recognizability of the subject, because if the artist claims that it's a dog and it looks like a horse, it might not be that great. Again, our visual artist, our photographer, Hannah Borg is our visual arts editor. She's a photographer, so she's been able to personally evaluate a lot of the photography that's been submitted. We look for portraiture, the arrangement of images in the picture. And then finally, performance art, we look at the quality of the music, the amount of effort and time it appears a creator put into it. And then in the biography, we look at how much experience they've had as well, creating art, music, or performance of any sort.
I assume that your editorial board is going to continue this after you graduate.
Absolutely. And the whole point of creating an editorial board and having an editorial submission application form is that we're entirely replaceable. So as we grow old and if we grow sick of Pounce, which I think is very unlikely, students from our schools or other people that we know and meet, other contributors to the magazine, are able to apply and become editors themselves and take over the magazine.
Is this seen Is this seen as a yearly production, excuse the noise there, as a yearly production, so this is a 2016 version, and next year will be a 2017 version? And the other thing is, do you have professional help, for instance, say artists from the Figgy or any other organization in the Quad Cities area that are helping you with this?
Yes. So the first question, I'm sorry, I forgot the first question.
Is this a yearly,
Oh.
and then you'll have a new, it'll be the second edition or next year and so forth?
We've rebranded Pounce sort of into a gallery, which means we continue to display all the artwork that's been submitted, rather than having a separate archives and current issue page. As far as professional help, we've stayed in touch with that former arts school teacher. We contact our teachers regularly for help, and our teacher advisor is actually used to be a reviewer for Buffalo Carp, the Quad Cities literary magazine. So she has had people we can talk to about reviewing visual art and written work. Performance art, we haven't had as much aid in, but we also haven't had as many submissions, so it's been less of an issue.
Thank you.
Do you track the data around who's viewing or how many views, and is there anything that stands out to you as something that surprises you with regard to that data?
Yeah, absolutely. Squarespace hosts analytics, and we've also been using Google Analytics to evaluate our website's performance. What's really interesting is where people have been viewing our website from, because we had editors from Arizona, the Northeast, Puerto Rico, and the Midwest, but we've been getting viewers from Russia, which was totally unexpected, Michigan, Wisconsin, California, really all over the place. And a lot of that is probably due to Duotrope, which is that submissions manager type of thing, because it's a place where anyone can view it and go directly to our work. And they see a page at first glance with our requirements and eligibility options, and then they can choose to visit our website and submit work if they choose.
Thank you.
Are your submissions pretty well diversified in terms of you get a lot of writing, you get a lot of visual arts, you get a lot of performance?
Yes. There's definitely been more of a skew toward visual art, which is surprising because we started as a writing magazine. But very recently we have a spike in performance submissions, and actually there are a few sitting in my inbox now that I have to look through and add. Writing has been picking up as well because there was a recent poetry competition in our area from which people have been submitting.
So one of the attractions of Pounce is that you said it's virtually cost-free,
Yes.
but there has to be storage charges for keeping these things up on the web. How do you finance that? How do you decide how much space you can allow? Do you have to take things down when you put new displays up, or does it all stay available?
The website space hasn't been an issue because I'm pretty sure there's unlimited storage options with Squarespace, but hosting the website and using this subscription-based submissions manager, Submittable, has required a subscription fee. Currently, the editors have kind of pooled together their resources to provide 1 year's worth of money for that, and we'll see at the end of this year how it goes. We're also planning a fundraiser in the upcoming winter for an online bake sale event.
So what kind of financial commitment is it?
I believe it's about, I wouldn't say it's more than $200 for the entire package for the whole year.
For a year. Other questions? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.